Hello and welcome to the Darkside. We are live on Sunday evening, 9 till 10. We're always a couple minutes, but we love you guys. You know that we are doing our best to be with you on time all the time. I'm just going to switch the status to public so that you guys can share this with your friends, with your family, and have a grand old time in our discussion. So this is the topical discussion between TC Storm here, that one, and Tabitha Purple, and we are going to have a great discussion this evening. We've covered a few different topics, and now we're going royal. Hey people, I should have had my crown on. I mean, I should have had a crown and some bling for the royal conversation, don't you think? I should have had like some tiaras or stuff. I'm looking around trying to see what bling I have. Place. We're having a royal conversation today. So welcome for those of you that are just joining us. Today on the dark side, we are going to look at the dark side of royalty. We're looking at the Meghan Markle and Harry conversation, Prince Harry conversation. We're not actually going to look at the Oprah interview. We're just going to look at some of the stuff that's been surrounding their press, etc. and their story. So we welcome you. Please do put your comments in, ask us the questions, ask us difficult questions, ask us easy questions. We would love to talk to you this evening. So today we're going to look at topics such as gender, age, race, colonialism, royalty. I mean, it's all going to come to bear on one woman. It's just amazing, right? Isn't that how it always goes?
Shouldn't have eaten that fruit.
Well, it's done now. What's done is done. We can't go back. So now that it's done. So who are we talking about this evening? Oh, he's decided to stop looking like a roadman and have his foot down. Yay! There you go. He's got all his wisdom on display instead.
No, this is only a small portion.
A small portion of the wisdom, is that what it is? All right, so today's topic is the one and the only Her Royal Highness. Or does she get HRH, or what does she get? She gets
no, they lost all of them titles.
They lost them all, didn't she? But she's still Duchess, right? They can't just strip them of
She's
Duchess.
Still a Duchess.
So she is Duchess Meghan and the Duke Harry. Prince Harry, and the story today is about the media coverage, I guess, of their flourishing romance into marriage and how it's been for them. They're now on baby number 2, and how the last few years have gone. What should we begin with? Where shall we start, Mr. Storm?
Yeah.
For those of you who have not been hiding under a rock.
Look, I'm not a royalist by any stretch of the imagination. And in some ways, I'm conflicted because part of this conversation touches on, because she's now married into them, defending a branch of this scrounging, parasitic benefit street family that goes by the name of the Windsors. If it was left to me, I'd just dismantle the whole institution and just get rid of them. It's not necessary or needed, but here we are. I think one of the things to address in all of this is this notion that she was given a fair chance by the British press and the British public. There are arguments given that, we gave Meghan a fair chance. She had all this positive news coverage. Everybody.
Which news stories?
Which ones? The wedding. Everybody was happy and excited about the royal wedding between her and Harry. All of this nonsense.
The ones where they cussed her out and told her that her bouquet was going to kill the small princess. You mean that positive news story? I mean, from the jump, this woman has not had any positive news. What positive news coverage has she had other than from her own people? So other than from people outside of the British media, where has the positivity come from? Let's be honest. Where has that come from? Because it's not within British media, that's for sure.
I want to challenge the notion that she was given a fair chance, and just to challenge that notion that she was ever given one by the British media. When it became clear that she and Harry were dating, and it was serious. There were so many news stories and opinion pieces in the British media regarding her and her personally. So you saw attacks about her being a divorcee. Okay. You had people questioning why she wanted to marry into the royal family. And was it for financial reasons? People were questioning her nationality. You had a whole bunch of sexist articles. She wore a pants tuxedo suit to an award ceremony. And bear in mind, this is when they're still dating.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And all these sexist comments came out from the Daily Mail about, we know who's going to wear the pants in that family. She just wants to boss Harry around. The same Daily Mail, which is commonly known as a Daily Fail, because they're terrible, ran a headline straight out of Compton regarding Meghan. Although she's not from Compton, she happens to come from the city of Los Angeles. But there's a whole bunch of baggage that goes along with the naming of the city Compton. And so all of this flies in the face of the fact that she was given a fair chance. Because the reality is, the fact that she was a divorcee shouldn't have been an issue.
He's a child of a divorcee. What's the issue? What's the problem? What's the issue? So we forget that his parents are divorced? Like, we're just going to forget that? We're just going to throw that out of water? Like, what is this thing with divorce?
But not only is he the child of a divorcee, his father, heir to the throne apparent, married a divorcee.
So what's the issue? Why are you flinging divorce in there as if that's a thing?
So the question of a divorcee marrying into the royal family should have already been cleared up.
It got cleared up with your daddy, who's going to be the king when this queen dropped dead. I mean, he's literally next. Right. And if he can marry a divorcee, then what's the issue? And the thing is, there was furore around that. There was a lot of issues around that. There was permissions granted. There were all sorts of challenges made to whether it could happen. But the fact that we went through all of that crap with Camilla and Charles should have meant by the time you get to Harry, who's not in, what's he now, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th? I don't know. How many kids does the older brother have? He's like, how many down the road? Line?
I have no idea how much we're giving benefits to. How many of them?
But it's no longer relevant. Those things are no longer relevant to the conversation, and anyone who says they are is actually feeding that awful narrative, because you're actually part of the problem, because we dealt with this already.
This was a settled question. This was a settled matter. It had been dealt with at least 20 years prior, more than 20 years prior, I'm sure. So, this shouldn't have been an issue. The question of why she wants to marry into the royal family, and then they questioned whether it was financial reasons. Or one, she came with her own money.
She's a successful actress and activist. What she need you for?
But the other problem with that is it's in the premise of the question, which is marrying into the royal family which is station now. So she wants to get above her station rather than the question of why does she want to marry Harry?
Well, hello.
Right?
The question in other circles was she fell in love with him. Like regular circles, not to be rude. He hitting out of the ballpark. That was everybody else's point. he hit out of the ballpark. Very interesting. So it depends on which circle you rolled in, right? The media did not give her a fair shake. It was ridiculous.
No, but the point I'm making is that the question is framed in such a way that it speaks not to a genuine interest in relationship,
No.
but to the concept that she is marrying above her station.
Yes.
Right.
And this idea, and this goes to class, right? So this is about classism, and the British are known for being a class society. It's not like that's a shock. They have royalty. There's no surprises there that there is a class issue. There's nothing. So what I find interesting about the narrative about people saying, well, no, but why would she want to marry into the royal family? Is let's frame the question the other way around. Why, and the question you asked is really important, why would she marry Harry? It seemed impossible because let's be honest, before her, he had a string of crappy like dates and he was going nowhere in terms of his dating life. It was getting downhill quickly. All of these girls just looked the same and were doing the same thing. There was nothing really substantial there. In addition to that, he had been caught out in a number of scandals, lest we forget his little Las Vegas trip and the costume incidents. He had been having some issues in his young adult life. So the question I felt that should have been asked is, why would a successful, well put together woman who's clearly on top of her game want to lower herself down to the standard of this young man who really had not got his ish together? That to me seemed like a more fair question, in my opinion.
Yeah, look.
If you were interested in an actual relationship question, mind you. If you're not interested in a relationship question, then mark me out, huh?
Well, as I said, that's built on the premise that the question was genuine. It was actually a dog whistle.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It wasn't a genuine question. It was a dog whistle.
Yeah.
Which leads me on to the next point that I want to make. And this comes to the stage where after they're married and they want to step back from royal life, or it starts appearing as though they want to step back. They then term the possibility of them taking a step back as Megxit. Yeah.
Everything is her fault. She's going in, it's her fault. She's coming out, it's her fault. There's no... it's exhausting. It really is exhausting.
Well, there's that. But I think, because I absolutely agree with you that what the term Megxit does is it places the responsibility of this onto Meghan.
Yeah.
But what else it does is it mirrors the word Brexit.
Yeah.
And Brexit was largely fueled by xenophobia at best and racism at worst. And by using this phrasing, what the British media did was they evoked the emotions that went along with Brexit, and they whipped the Brexit supporters up into a frenzy.
Yeah.
So what you'll often find, if you go on social media and amongst British people, is often those that voted to stay in Europe lean towards Meghan and Harry.
Yeah.
Right? But those that are against lean towards voting in favor of Brexit. And that's because by using this whole phrase Megxit, they frame the conversation solely in relation to nationality and race. And I think this is an important factor which has been ignored in the media, and which nobody is actually commenting on. They speak of Megxit, but they don't
comment on the titling.
Link between Megxit and Brexit and the concept of race and how that fueled a certain base and demographic within the UK.
Yeah. Well, I think that's interesting because actually this speaks to an issue of how much power do the media have? And so what role do the media play in the daily lives of celebrities, of companies, and of royalty, and of marriages, and of all these other things, and of regular people? And how much influence do they have on us who are partaking or listening to media? And so Megxit is purely coined by the media, right? This is just a newspaper's invention. This is nothing that's come from the people themselves. This is a media invention. It has taken off and grown wings as a result of the media pushing this idea. And as you say, no one's challenging it. But I think actually that who's going to challenge it? Which media is going to challenge what they created? They created this. They created it for their own reasons and to continue to manipulate people in this nationalistic, racial identity of white politics. This is what that does. And so who's going to challenge that? Who's going to challenge Megxit in that way? In which conference nobody's going to allow that in a mainstream media context, because of course that's their invention. That's what they want us to have that discussion, is over A, blaming the woman, and B, evoking all of the language around racist, xenophobic, anti-other conversations. That's exactly the language they wanted to apply exclusively to her. Because bear in mind, when we normally have the media, and we can think of other famous examples, brand a couple and their behavior, it was like, let's say, famous couple, Brangelina, Brad and Angelina. They just shove the two names together and you have Brangelina, and you have the other, all these other famous couples. But in this case, that's not the feeling they wanted to evoke. Harry could have stayed. He could have got divorced for all they cared, as long as she took herself and went. That's really what they were saying.
Well, they wanted Harry to get divorced. Let's not be about the bush. But when I say nobody is talking about this, you're right. The media don't want to hold themselves accountable. These institutions aren't going to hold themselves accountable. But when they have commentators on, the commentators are not turning around and saying to them, wait there, you need to take responsibility for your role in all of this.
Yeah.
Your use of the phrase Megxit and the impact that had. So that's what I mean by that statement.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point. I mean, having said that, if you haven't seen the Sky News report with Gina Yashere and her fellow ladies, I would suggest that you see that, because that is a wonderful example of talking truth to power. These women stood their ground and really dissected the whole thing and let it be known that this is racist nonsense. But anyway, that's just an aside. Because you said media.
Yeah, it's classist, it's racist, and it's sexist.
It is what it is.
So yes, I what was I going to say? Yeah. So anyway, that's me. I think I'm pretty much done on the Megxit point. I don't think I think it's pretty clear and apparent on its face. The making there. So I don't know what you want to touch on next.
Well, I kind of want to go back to this comparison, because we have a really easy comparison. And this was done in the newspaper. This was done by a media outlet, I believe, a while ago, which is the comparison with Kate Middleton and Meghan. So, of course, there was a wedding shortly beforehand. We had a royal wedding. The older brother had gotten married to a young woman he dated since university. Wonderful. And how did the media treat her, and how did that go? And there's a really easy comparison between Kate's experience and Meghan's experience. But what it showed, this idea, if we're talking about the fair go, she's had a fair shot at being a royal. What it actually showed was how quickly things cleared up for Kate. So there were some early days where Kate would have a bad headline or two. She'd make a faux pas, and the media would ride her about it for a few moments, and then it would be over. Nothing major. No, it wasn't life-changing. They would just, she needs to make sure she goes and she listens to the courtiers and blah 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 blah. So she would have that. What you saw by contrast is the layering of the newspaper headlines, the layering of the attacks in the media, one on top of the other. So it went from the dating days incidents, but as soon as there was a wedding, she's flying in this. They dug up her daddy. They're digging up her sister. They're chasing people down to get stories. They're going out of their way to do this. On the other side of it, for Kate's wedding, they were talking about Philippa's bottom. That's what they spent the whole time talking about, her sister's bum. Oh, look, she wore a dress. Look at her bum in the dress. That's all you talk about. That was the big scandal out of the wedding. The big scandal out of Meghan's wedding. Okay, it's a different issue altogether, but that's what the media talked about. It's a different issue altogether. But out of Meghan's wedding, the bouquet that she chose was going to kill Princess Charlotte. She would have had a bee sting her. They're the same flowers that were in the wedding of her mama. What's the issue? These are not unusual flowers. Flowers are flowers. What is wrong with you? She had celebrities come in. How could she do this? And then there was the whole story about her sister and her dad. And now there is a court case and libel issues surrounding that. And then, of course, the attacks on her mama. Because it didn't just stop at Meghan. They attacked and attacked and attacked. And I think that it's important to note that when we're talking about the layers, when we're talking about how things added one on top of the other, this idea of having a fair shake at it, this idea of her being given a good, she should be fine, like it will be okay. She got our attention, she got our support, we tried to love her, and it was her fault that we don't love her. Excuse me? You told the woman on her wedding that she gonna kill her new niece. You told her that her mother wasn't welcome. You told her and dug up all your dirt you could on her daddy. You went around and dug up all kind of sleazy stuff on her half sister. You tried everything to pull this woman down, and she hadn't even walked up the aisle yet. Like, she just about got up the aisle. So who had a fair shake of what?
Well,
what is that?
It's not just that they went around searching for things. They were trying to pay people to come up with stuff, So, they were throwing money at this issue. But to support your point, in 2019, okay, Meghan received nearly 5 times the amount of negative news stories by comparison to Kate.
My God.
Right?
Okay.
So 21,000.
Jesus.
29,000 stories about Meghan were negative.
That's insane. How do we have time to write 29,000 stories, let alone 21,000 were negative? I mean, what is that?
Now, by comparison, 4,300 out of 14,000 stories about Kate were negative. Now,
so now that's interesting. How many stories did Kate have?
14,000. Kate had a lot less stories. And
isn't that interesting?
Well,
that brings the point.
Right? It does help bring the point. But the reason why I'm using this year is because it's critically important here. Okay. 2019 is the year that their son was born.
Oh, snap.
So you would think, hey,
that in the year a baby was born. Hey! which is Zyrie's point. They called her son a monkey.
I'm coming to that.
He's
coming
coming.
to that.
That's insane.
All right. So I see a comment, Zari, and I'm coming to it. I assure you, I'm going to be touching on that one. So you would think in the year in which,
a baby's born, which is a happy
member,
event.
Yeah, you would expect there to be perhaps more positive news coverage. You would expect, that they might give her a bly. They might give her a pass.
Because pregnant women are normally kind of given love and attention. They're not normally attacked to the tune of 21,000 negative stories.
Right, but we all know that's not the case because
she black.
Hey, she's holding her bump in the wrong way, and this.
You remember that story?
This is one of the. I'm not even sure of the right word for this type of behavior.
Evil
is a very good word, but it doesn't do it justice. It's worse than that. You have people who attack Harry and Meghan now, and what they say is, yeah, but they broke royal protocol. It was tradition for the mother to stand on the stairs of the hospital and show the press a baby so that the nation can feel part of this and the buy-in. But wait there, you were given the negative stories when the baby was still inside the stomach. So don't tell me that her refusal to stand on some stairs has anything to do with your dislike of this woman or the negative stories regarding her, because we can trace this back to an earlier point. So when you want to say, I didn't feel a part of this, I didn't feel, as though, people have nationalistic things, they took something away from me by not standing there and posing with the baby. Well, one, it isn't your child. And two, if you had just been spent your pregnancy being attacked by the press and the media, why are you going to want to go and share what should be a happy moment for you and your family with people, parasitic people?
And I think that really is an important point. When a woman is pregnant and when a family are having a new baby, there's a real fragility to the situation, of course, and she wasn't afforded that fragility. She wasn't afforded the sensitivity to her physical changes, to her situation. She wasn't afforded the humanity. People stripped her of humanity. If she touched her bum, oh my gosh, she's so obsessed with the baby. She's always touching herself. Oh my God. What pregnant woman does? Why is she not allowed to be human? What pregnant woman doesn't touch her bum? That's one of the telltale signs for women being pregnant. Even the ones that barely show, one of the things you subconsciously do is touch your belly. It's like scientific. They will tell you. People in offices will know before you've even announced that you're pregnant. People have spotted you touching your belly 100 times and would have gone, oh my gosh, she's going to tell us she's pregnant. Oh my God. That's a human experience for pregnant women. And what you did was you stripped her humanity. So you stripped her humanity when she was trying to eat healthily. She was trying to eat her avocados. Her sister-in-law probably recommended them. She ate avocados. The press gave her a good time over eating avocado. Look at Kate being so healthy. Oh, what happened to Meghan? She's eating avocados. It's causing the destruction of the planet. Oh my gosh, there's slavery. There's this because of the avocado. Are you kidding me? She couldn't even eat an avocado without you lot losing it. I mean, let's think about that for a brief moment. She can't touch her belly. That's a natural human response. She can't eat food. That's a natural human response. You stripped this woman of her humanity and then said, dance, monkey, dance, after you called her child a monkey. When the baby was, let's just put that there. And then you want her to come outside and dance for you? Shut up. I mean, seriously, what kind of foolishness is that?
Now, so she was never going to get a fair shake. She not from the British media. It started from when they were dating. It went through to the wedding. It went through to the birth of the child, and it's still going on today. I'm going to give you a link that you can post for people to see. And what this link is for is, I don't know if anyone's seen it yet, is a YouTube video where these pranksters got together all these royal commentators that go on CNN and Sky News and all of these media outlets, all these royal commentators, to give their opinion on the Oprah Winfrey interview and the content of said interview days before the interview was aired. So they recorded this like 3 days ago and nobody's seen it.
I'm confused.
Now, so there you go. So the point was to show it doesn't matter what's in that interview. The media have it out for Harry and Meghan.
If you can, this is the link.
So what they did was they went to these people and they said, look, we want to record you. And they let them know they were recording them before the interview came out. And they wanted their opinion of the interview. So the people went and they
the interview they haven't seen.
The interview they haven't seen.
So how do you give an opinion on something that you haven't seen?
They commented on the interview as though they had seen it. The language that they use, the things that they said. Oh, this was just Meghan acting all the way through. She deserves an Oscar. And this is the kind of things that they're saying without even having seen the interview.
Are you serious?
So if you have people doing this that are in the media, as I said, one of them makes a big song and dance about the fact, they're on CNN and all the rest of this. If this is what they're doing without having any information, how can you tell me that they are impartial and unbiased in what they're saying?
Yeah. It's just not possible. It's not possible. You can't, it's just not possible. Like, it's just not possible. Like, I can't say that any other way. You can't, I can't have an opinion on the interview you're going to have on Thursday for a job. I can't, because you haven't done the interview. I haven't seen the interview. I wouldn't know if you're capable of the job. Do you know what I mean? I can't have an opinion in advance, because if I have an opinion in advance, it clouds the judgment of whatever I see. You've already made up your mind about what you're going to see. But it goes to prove the point that they've made up their mind who and what they want to promote and what they want to say, and they're ready to destroy her. That's just the reality, and the marriage. And I pray they stay together at this point, which seems really odd, but there you go.
Well, here's the thing: they want to break up this marriage.
They do. They really do.
It goes back to the question I asked near the beginning of. Why did them asking, why does she want to marry into the royal family?
Yeah.
Right? Because Meghan is now royalty by marriage.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing they can do to take her out of that class other than divorce. As long as she is married, they have to deal with the fact that there is a black woman who to them is standing above her station.
Okay. And so I think this comes to then kind of a wider point of then how black women are treated in society. And, for me, this whole thing with Meghan has really highlighted the fact that I think it was Malcolm X who said this: the black woman is the least protected woman in society. She is the one that is least protected and afforded the least humanity. Mm-hmm. And I think that you see this extreme example is really what a lot of women are going through on a regular daily basis, just in a microcosm. They are going through this idea constantly of not being protected. And the fact that, her husband chooses to do the right thing. He chooses her life above the life of even himself. Like considering what he's had to put up with, it's been quite awful. He's worked hard for the military. He's not been a puppet figure. He's been on tours. He's done his job. He's worked really hard. He's done the games. What was it called? What is the games called for for ex-military
Invictus Games,
people.
I think it's called.
Invictus Games. He's worked hard. I'm not going to be like, he's always worked hard, but he has done, for a royal, up until Meghan, everyone said Harry had worked hard on this, the whole military aspect. So to strip him of something that he had worked hard for, that he did not take for jokes and didn't do anything for, unlike his uncles, he actually did some work. The fact that he's had to lose out in some ways to protect her, and it's not good enough because they're just going to keep going. They won't stop until, as you say, she's divorced, done, destitute on the street. They're not going to stop. And that, I think, really highlights a problem that Black women in society face. When you step out of what they believe is your station, the attacks you face are unfair, unfounded, they're inhumane. They are destructive to your soul, to your mental well-being, and you aren't afforded the humanity to deal with it in any kind of way. And anyone who comes to your aid will be destroyed in the pursuit of destroying you, because that's effectively what they're doing. And I think that's really troubling. That's really troubling.
Well, I think those that are trying to defend the royals in this situation actually are undermining their own position.
Okay, go ahead, tell me.
So Meghan is royal, either royal by birth and blood or marriage.
Yeah, simple.
Right. So Meghan is royal by marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Harry is royal by birth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The fact that many people, and especially when you get on social media, this is less so in printed press, but definitely on social media, are of the notion he no longer wants to be a royal. In fact, no, you even see this in the media. He no longer wants to be a royal. Let him go. Let him go.
He snubbed the Queen.
Right?
This is grandma. What are you talking about? He snubbed the Queen. That'd be ridiculous.
But the argument is let him go.
Mm-hmm.
So he just fades away. He's not really a royal any longer.
Royal anymore.
Here's the thing. If he's royal by blood and birth, then he's always going to be a royal. You can't say, let him go away. Because if that's possible, then that negates the argument of birth and blood.
Well, somebody.
And the fact that it already exists, that if you get divorced, that negates any claim to royalty through marriage.
Mm-hmm.
This whole attack on Meghan and Harry undermines any argument you have for royalty, because it's something that can be conferred and stripped away at whim.
Yeah. It's clearly not something that means anything.
Exactly. It has no real meaning. It is nothing. So the whole idea of royalty, if you are royalist and are trying to say you're doing this to protect royalty, actually you're undermining yourself. It's a self-defeating argument. So yeah, it makes no sense to me. And I think there was something else I wanted to say. I'm trying to remember what it was now.
Can I go to a different double standard point while you're doing that?
Go on then.
Is that okay? So my different double standard point is this. So we know that Meghan Markle is a grown-up. She's not a child. She's a fully grown woman who has a successful career. She's an actress. She was famous beforehand. She had her own money. She had her own activist career. She was speaking in different spaces as an activist, speaking out against violence against women and other women's rights. She is a very public figure. She was a very public figure beforehand. Now, there is a different level of public when it comes to royalty and the British variety. Yeah? So we have royalty here in the Netherlands. We do. We live in a different country. We have royalty. We have royalty in some other European countries. The royalty ride down the road on their bicycles and get on with their lives. They don't need or have a need for all of the press that garners around the British one. The British media have a particular brand of royalty and a particular amount of power that means that they still generate so many stories, so much hatred in their there's so much press and power that goes with this, and intrusion from the royal British media. So from the British media, it's a very different level of intrusion. So there's a famous woman who's a successful actress, speaks at public events, goes around the world, speaks at the UN, does all of this other work. She's very well known for her work. She comes into a sphere at which it ups. They choose to leave. One of the arrows that have been labeled at her is, well, if she's trying to leave and get away from being in the media public eye, why go to LA? Because she's still going to be in the public eye. Well, she's not trying to get away from the public eye. She's trying to get away from the British media. She's trying to get away from the institution that's killing her. She's going back to her job, and her job actually keeps her in the public eye. What else she's an actress. She's an activist. This is exactly where it's going to keep her, but it's not going to keep her at the level at which she is in Britain. When she's in Britain, away from her family, away from her friends, away from her network, away from her actual job. So remember, she has an actual job. She does actual work. She wants to get away from that. Of course she does. Any normal, sane human being with 21,000 stories in 1 year, 29,000, 21,000 of which were negative, would want to get away from that. Let's be honest, the human brain is conditioned for negativity as it is, but if you had 21,000 negative comments, let's just be human for a minute. If somebody says something negative to the average person about their appearance or their work ethic or whatever, you replay that comment over and over and over again. Can you imagine 21,000 stories and what that would do to somebody? No, of course she wants to get away. But that doesn't mean she wants to put down her job or her responsibilities. She's going back to work. What did you expect her to do? Oh, then she must sit in a cold room by herself. She can't do her acting career. She can't be famous anymore. You don't control people like that. It's hypocritical and it's stupid and it's basic. Because the reality is, of course, she's still going to be famous. Of course, she's going to do things. But we've had a question come in, so let's do the question. So, Mr. Storm, George Aqua cannot fault your logic on the point. However, royals can abdicate.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
But they still remain royal. So the last abdication was by Edward in 1930 something, but he still remained His Royal Highness.
He just wasn't going to sit on any thrones.
He was His Royal Highness Duke of whatever the title they gave him. But he still remained a royal.
Which is an interesting point, because isn't it Princess Anne that came out in defense of Meghan and Harry? Was it Anne that came out?
Princess Anne came out in support of them and said, look, sometimes these titles are just a hindrance to people, and it's not for everyone. Sometimes it's just better to leave them to get on with things like that. So, but to be honest, Anne has always been like the black sheep of that family.
She does her thing.
Yeah. She does her thing.
She's not bothered with that.
In fact, she rejected royal titles for her children.
Yeah. Which is really important to notice, because of course Zara and whoever else the other one is, I only know one of the names, all do their own thing. They get on and do the work of their own thing. What's very fascinating also is, of course, they replaced Meghan and Harry with the paedophile's kid, which no one is talking about. Now, how is that a thing? So how is it a thing that you're going to spend all this time talking about Meghan and Harry, trying to destroy this woman, trying to destroy their marriage, trying to destroy everything about them. They have kids. Like, what's wrong with you? Leave them alone. Like, they don't do nothing to you. They ain't troubling you. But there's genuinely somebody in the royal family that has had more than his fair share of shaky stories, at the very least, alleged incidents, just to save the libel that would come my direction. And you are not covering that story? Suddenly you can't find dirt on that? Well, there is no evidence you can dig up?
Let's put it like this, right? In regards to Andrew, right? Anyone that knows me knows that years ago, before any of these things hit the press,
that's
right?
True. You were there telling us.
I was there telling you because I know someone who knows. Right? So before any of this hit the press, there are certain people that I've spoken to, and they can vouch for me that I said to them, this name, this name, this name, this name are going to come out in regards to this.
Story. And so it has been done, and we have had to sit and watch in horror. I need to remember the rest of the list, actually. Now I'm worried.
So, well, some of them are locked up already anyway. So, but what I was going to say was that in regards to this whole Prince Philip thing, Prince Andrew thing, what I want to say to that is that this is one of the biggest failings of the royal family, and this is one of the biggest reasons why Harry and Meghan can legitimately say that they have a reason to leave the UK.
Yeah.
And it touches on Zari's point, and it touches on your point. And this is the fact that after her great-grandchild is called a monkey, the palace remains silent. There is not a statement coming from anywhere to rebuke or repudiate the racism directed at this baby.
A baby. I mean, really, y'all need to just look at yourself in the mirror. How are you cussing out a baby?
So you have to ask yourself, okay, isn't I don't love my great-grandchild that I will not defend them? Or is it that I secretly agree with these ideas? Because let's just be honest. If someone were to come and try and do something to our children, whether they say something, just say something aggressive to my children, say something offensive like that, and my mother, who can't do anything, is going to be willing to fight you.
I vouch for that.
Right?
Listen.
She is not capable of doing anything, but she's going to put it all on the line. You don't attack family like that. That just isn't done. It's not cricket.
You don't.
Right?
Yeah, and the fact that they say nothing in defense of her and only ever anything that now we're going to investigate these allegations that we have of bullying. So let's deal with that, because that right there has irritated my soul.
Well, I'm coming to all of this. I'm coming to all of this.
Well, we need to hurry and get there. Let's get there.
Okay, all right. Because for me, the fact that they did not defend, and they issued no statements. Okay, the fact that they're now doing an investigation. They're now doing an investigation into allegations of bullying.
Yeah.
And I have serious questions over this, because once again, is it that she was bullying anyone, or that people could not handle a black woman above her station telling them what to do? And so out comes the angry black woman stereotype.
Oh, here we go.
It doesn't matter what she says to you, you're going to interpret it in a certain way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you have the fact that these investigations are now coming out. This is years later, right? After these things have
Mhm.
allegedly happened. After these
Mhm.
guys no longer live in the country, you want to do
Mhm.
this investigation,
And what
but you
for?
remain silent on Andrew, where there's the real possibility, for your sake of libel, there is the real possibility
Thank you for watching my back. I appreciate you.
of criminal actions or activities based on the allegations that have been made or
Well,
suggested.
and they went one step further, remember, because the palace were asked to turn him over for the
Yes,
investigations, and they
right.
said no.
They defended him. They
They
made an
defended him,
active case to defend him.
so
But
they can defend that, but you ain't gonna defend your own flesh and blood,
right now,
because Archie
anyone,
is flesh and blood, right?
right?
Oh,
But
isn't he?
well, no,
Oh, isn't he?
because he's the monkey that they claimed he was.
And now you're gonna come up with this bullying thing. This one has really irritated me because, so as if it's not bad enough that black women go from superhero to bully and angry black woman in 10 seconds. Oh, black women are magic, black women are strong, black women are this. And the minute you step outside of your magical zone and say no, you are angry, right? The minute you have an emotion that doesn't suit them, you're the angry black woman, right? And they can then justify all of their hatred, bad behavior, wickedness, whatever they want to label at you. Because people be, when they call, and this is, I don't know about other women, maybe somebody could comment with an example, I don't know, but I've experienced it in this way. People will be saying some mess to you. They will be rude, they will be disrespectful, they will undermine your authority in the workplace, they will be downright swearing and doing all kinds of things. But the minute you say, I don't tolerate that kind of behavior, oh, you're an angry black woman, blah, 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 they want to come with their mess. But nobody's looking at their behavior, nobody's looking at how they behaved. So I have to be magical and hold my cool all the time and smile sweetly and take your attacks, your bad behavior. Because should I tell you I don't tolerate that, you're going to call me angry and a bully. No, no, not today. I ain't got time for that today.
Well,
Take it and stick it where the sun don't shine. I ain't got time for that.
and I think what this does is it touches on the fact that the incident, I think it was earlier this week, maybe it was last week, of the ability of white men in particular
Oh,
to
now speak.
project
Preach
or
on it.
to strip
Mm,
away characteristics, not
mm.
just of black women, but
Oh,
black
it goes
people,
beyond that. Yeah.
right?
Or
So,
anyone they fancy.
for example, you have Andrew Pierce, the LBC
Mm,
presenter, who speaks
mm.
on Megan, and he says, "Do you see? Do you look at Megan and see a black woman? Because I don't. I just see an attractive woman." So, first of all, what that does is it sets up a false
A
dichotomy that you
premise
can't be black and
and
attractive,
beautiful. Right? Okay.
right?
So that's number one. So let's deal with that. That's number one. Because we know that to be not good stuff. I'll not swear on the channel today.
So, so first of all, he does that. Um,
Okay.
but secondly,
That's first.
what he then takes
Mm-hmm.
upon himself is
Mm-hmm.
the ability to strip
Mm-hmm.
away
Mm-hmm.
a way in which Megan herself identifies. She identifies as biracial. But you are saying that I have the ability to strip away from you part of your identity. And I say that it doesn't just go to black women and Meghan Markle in particular, because I've had people, white men, say to me, yeah, but I don't really see you as a real black man.
Oh, come on now.
You
Talk
know,
on it.
they'll say to me, you know, or you'll hear it in different guises.
Oh,
Um,
I don't really see you as black because you're so educated, or you talk so well, or you read. Oh, you like this kind of music, so I don't really think of you like that. Hello, what are you talking about? Like, what is your problem? Yeah, but can I just say something on this one? This
mhm,
really touches on a nerve because many women in the biracial or passing category, as they call it in America, or in any of those categories, many women will have experienced this. Somebody will strip you of your identity. Oh, I don't really count you as black. I don't see you that way. I don't see you like that. I don't see you like this. Let you step outside of what they deem is your station. You will be an N-word so quickly your head will spin. The first time you tell a white man no when he's hitting on you, or he wants to carry on in some kind of way around you, or he's drunk and lecherous, and you had to just knock back his hand, watch how fast the N-word or beep beep comes out of his mouth. Because the next thing, and we have famous examples of white men calling passing and biracial women black beeps. We have those examples because that is exactly this notion that he somehow had some power to strip her of it. Also, it's so infuriating because it feeds a stereotype that is unbelievable, because the minute you step out of what they deem is your allowed space to exist and dare to come up to where they believe they are, you're going to get told real quick about your station. You're going to get told real quick, really quick. I've had my experience with this. I know. I've lost job over this point. So I know that this happens, and this has happened frequently. There'll be women watching this who put it in the comments and say, me too, experience exactly, because that is exactly what they do. They want to come down and they want to strip you of your people, strip you of your identity, strip away, take you to one side, pretend that your blackness doesn't exist. No, they're holding it in their pocket to throw it at you the minute you don't. That's what they're trying to do.
And that's because race, like the concept of royalty, as it's a myth. There's nothing concrete to it. You can't base it on a concrete foundation. It's just a myth, and people get to say, "Hey, you're this, you're that," and I think, yeah. So with this Andrew Pierce, it's the idea that, in order for him to see Meghan as attractive, he had to strip away any melanin that she may have possessed.
Yep. Because I can't be attracted to a black woman, never. Oh gosh, wouldn't that be a sin?
I noticed that time is pressing on. One of the other things that has been thrown against Meghan, so we're probably just going to have to quickly trot on through these things, is her age. She's
a grown-up.
3 years older than Harry.
Is it only 3? Mm. Is it only 3? The way these people carry on, I thought it was like 10. It's only 3.
Yeah, but hear the mess.
It's only
3. Hear the mess, though.
Okay,
Camilla
go ahead.
is 16 months older than Charles.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that. Nobody cares because that's 2 white people, in it. Nobody's bothered. How am I bothered, though? Yeah.
Right, and that's my point. So if age was such an issue, why was it not raised then? And to bring sexism into the matter, Charles was more than 10 years older than Diana.
Oh, hello now. Preach on it. Preach on it, brother. Preach on it.
And so it was never an issue when the man was older.
Oh, no. Men can marry whoever they like when they're older. I mean, really. You be marrying people your children's age, people who weren't even born when you came of age. You be listen. Let's not do it. Go ahead.
The next point I want to bring in is that, look, this is probably going to offend some royalists out there, but that family is inbred. They need some new blood up in that bloodline.
But this was, so this is an interesting point, because this was raised when Kate came in. So when do you remember when Kate came in? You probably not so much because you're not really a royalist.
They traced her lineage all the way back.
They traced it back to Hope that she was not a royal, so there was new blood. Do you remember that? There was a whole thing. Yes, finally, the royals are going to get some new blood, new blood, new blood, new blood. Oh, new blood only counts when it's white people, huh?
Listen, as I said,
they rejoiced on Kate being new blood.
Yeah. I mean, it's messed up. They really need some new blood. I mean, doing this topic, you know, I don't remember if you remember when Fergie was marrying into the royal family, and
Listen, they had it in for her.
They gave her a bit of stick about her being a commoner and
Yep. They did not like Fergie, man.
You know, she's a distant relative of Andrew, right?
Are you serious?
I'm being deadly serious.
Are you serious?
I'm being deadly serious. They can trace themselves back to a same common ancestor.
Okay, next point. Let's just go to the next one. I can't even with these. I can't even. Like, I don't have energy for this. The thing is, the institutional, and this is something we haven't got to. Do you have other points to make?
No, go on. Go for it.
So the institutional racism that is seen in this case, the institutionalized way that these issues are dealt with. So one of the things that people always talk about is, no, but wait, there's nobody was, I mean, yes, okay, that one guy who said the thing about the monkey, I can see how you thought he was racist, but but everyone else never did that. I mean, what else did they say? They brought up facts. They told the truth. They did whatever. But it's this constant aggression, and it's not microaggression, because people say microaggression and they think small. No, it's constant acts of aggression, acts of violence and war against people that you enact every time you talk about 21,000 negative. I'm still trying to get my head around 21,000 negative stories. That's still bugging me. 21,000 negative stories and headlines. How do you have so much in 1 year? How do you have so much to say? That's bad. Like, were you digging up her ancestors for that? Like, what were you doing that you could write 21,000 negative stories about the woman? You couldn't even write that much about Kate, and you like her. Like, how you, in the totality of what you wrote about Kate, is not as high as the 21,000 negative stories. It's institutional to destroy Black. That's what it is. And when people say, oh, but I'm not racist, I have a Black friend, but you don't see them as equal, you don't see them as human, you will quickly strip away their color when it suits you. I don't think of you as Black, really. I don't see color. These are all acts of aggression on Black people. It's an act of an aggression to not see who they are, to not allow them space to be human. You didn't allow this woman to go through a normal pregnancy, which should be a happy occasion. People are normally joyous. Her husband's grandmother should have been delighted that she was getting an extra grandchild. Most grandparents counting them up happy. But that didn't even happen. She was not afforded humanity. And that's the point about the structural, institutional newspapers, journalists, people who worked for her. Of course there was a high staff turnover. People don't want to work for Black people. Of course there was. They don't like being told what to do by Black people. So, of course, some people left. They would have felt uncomfortable immediately. This is not how we're used to it. This is not what we do. And you would leave because you're not used to that. That's not something that you would have been comfortable with. So, of course, there was staff turnover. Who was shocked by that? Nobody. She needed people she could trust. You were untrustworthy because you were trying to because they were paying people for stories. So, of course, people had to leave the staff. So this structural nature of the whole thing is not just one institution. It
Okay. I'm not sure what happened there, but you're frozen.
all of it working together. That's when
Hello?
Hey, I think my whole thing first. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, So it's you that's lost this time. I guess I have to. Okay, cool. All right. Bye. I'm still on, yeah? All right. Okay, so that leaves me to finish up this show, and without anyone around to keep me on track without getting anyone into legal trouble. Yeah. Anyone has any questions? If anyone has any comments or opinions to share, please do so. What was Tabitha saying before she left? Oh, okay. So one of the things that Tabitha said was that it was about the systemic discrimination and the actions of it. And I just wanted to point out that systemic racism can also come in the form of inaction. And we see that in that case, in this case, demonstrated by the fact that there is no protection for Megan, for Archie, for Harry. Oh no, she's back. Right. So there is no protection in place for them, and especially at this period where she is once again pregnant, the fact that it has been revealed that not too long ago she had a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that if the royal family had any care towards these people, that they would put out some form of protection. And the fact that they consistently refuse to do so shows that there is no real care or love towards these people. When you go on social media, you see many comments saying, "Oh, it's not right to speak about those that raised you. It's not right to speak about your family." Well, it is right to protect your family. And if you fail to protect me, you cannot call yourself a member of my family. And that's, I admit, that's my personal perspective on life. So yeah, as I said, I fail to see how you can hold the argument. You don't speak against your family, but watch the royal family not just refuse to protect Harry, Meghan, Archie, and the baby on the way, but they also actively take courses of action against them, as well as speaking against them. The fact that they protect Andrew, but want to investigate years-old allegations. The fact that
I think it's just
willing
devastating.
to protect criminality.
Yeah. For a case of so-called bullying. I mean, really.
No, but here's the thing. If there's bullying, it should be taken seriously.
Yes, of course.
Listen, I'm not above, or I'm not necessarily against the investigation into claims of bullying. Investigate it. But let's investigate everything that's out there.
Because there have been lots of other claims over the years about the rest of your family. You may want to deal with that.
As I said, anyone I know who wants to have a conversation about this offline so that the Pastor Purple doesn't get sued, I'm willing to have it. I'm willing to have that conversation.
Don't sue me.
And I'm willing to tell you what I do know.
Yeah, don't sue me, please. Okay, so it's been fun. I can't believe my internet decided to literally fritz out on my computer here, so I'm gonna be doing some repair work on my computer for the rest of the evening. But it's been real lovely to have this chat with you. Thank you for all of your comments. Really appreciate it. George said he thought it was he, and then you started moving TC Storm without me. So at least it was Yeah, at least we got to have the conversation, and it's a conversation I think that will come up again and again. Maybe not with this couple, but with other couples, with the world, because this is about structural institutional racism, and as you know, that's something that our show stands against, and is willing to educate you on. So if there are topics that you want to discuss, if you want to see a particular topic discussed on the show, please drop us a message. Please comment, like, and share. Don't forget to subscribe to the Past Purple webpage, either on Facebook or on YouTube, to get regular updates on this and many other topics. We try to keep it educational, and there's also a lot of fun stuff there as well, and some resources. So thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for staying with us when the computer started to fritz. I appreciate you. Any last words, Storm?
No, except I'm now going to go get a shower because I feel dirty after having to speak out and speak up for some royals.
It could have been better. It could have been worse. We could do another couple next week. We could come back to Kim and Kanye. No, you don't want to do Kim and Kanye? That would make you feel even worse? Okay. All right, folks.
I'd have
Please
to
tune
bathe
in.
in bleach.
Please tune in next time to the Dark Side, Sunday evenings, 9 till 10 ish, of course, because we sometimes run over. We appreciate your company, your support. God bless y'all. Peace.
Laters.
All right, and we're out.